What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today we're going to be doing a full game preview of the Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. But before we hop into today's video, guys, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. Helps us get this channel growing, helps get this channel in front of new Jets fans so I can get new subscribers and keep the train going and rolling and get more people to talk to. If you guys don't have anybody to share the video with, the easy thing to do is just hit the like button. It really helps us beat out the YouTube algorithm, and that's all I'm trying to do is beat out the YouTube algorithm, so I'd greatly appreciate help there. But the real thing that I would appreciate, honestly and truthfully, if you don't want to hit the subscribe button and you don't want to hit the like button, is leave a comment. I started this channel to have a dialogue and a conversation with people, and that's why I try to make it my priority to respond to every single comment left. I love the dialogue. I love hearing your guys' opinions. I want to be a sponge and take in as much of the information that you guys have about the New York Jets. So leave a comment, leave a like, hit the subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it. Let's hop right into today's video. We're going to start with the New York Jets offense and what we can do against this Miami Dolphins defense, and then we're going to transition to the New York Jets defense and how we can try and stop the Miami Dolphins offense. I think the first place that we got to start with our offense has to be at the O-line. We know how hurt our offensive line has been and how we've played a different set of 5 offensive linemen every single week. We've never had any stability since the year started at the offensive line, but now it seems like things might be turning the corner. With Dwayne Brown scheduled to hit practice and possibly starting against Miami, that's a good sign. With Elijah Vera Tucker having a good showing at left tackle against the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's a good sign. With Mike Remmers and the other guy whose last name I don't know how to pronounce, so I'm not going to try, the previous Seattle tackle coming in. We have McDermott on the roster. There's a lot of options that we have at tackle to really build up what we can do with this team. And so with that being said, if we can get just solid offensive line play, there was a 33% pressure rate against Zach in the Pittsburgh game, and that was with a relatively weak defensive line in Pittsburgh. They aren't creating a whole ton of pressure when TJ Watt's not there, and we let them create 33% pressure. That's just not good. And Zach's escapability really helped us out. That's why he only was sacked once. But if we need to protect Zach better, I don't want to keep risking the whole, Zach's escapability is going to win us games or anything like that. I want to protect Zach so that he can stay in the pocket and that he can just use his eyes and his arms to get the ball going. And his legs aren't necessarily a last resort, but they become a wild card of what he can do. And the other thing with the offensive line is if we got to start creating some push for the run game. I think the New York Jets run game is really going to have to be an X factor for this game. And I'll talk about why in my next 2 points, but I think we really need to get this run game going. We know we have the running backs in Breece Hall and Michael Carter. We know that they're dynamic and what they can do when they have the ball in open space. So let's get them to that second level, because that's where they're going to shine, is against guys in the second level. We know that Michael Carter doesn't go down after first contact. We know that Breece Hall has home run hitting speed and agility. We need to be creating holes and creating these lanes for these running backs to run through and blow up through so that we can ultimately win in a different way than we're doing right now. Let's go on to my second point, which is currently regarding the Miami Dolphins secondary. The secondary isn't doing that great this year. I think they're averaging 230 yards allowed in the air every game. I think they're allowing a 110 passer rating on all of the quarterbacks that have faced them, and they faced in week 1 a really, really easy game against the Dolphins. So that being said, there has to be, a good, healthy spread of the football. We have 4 really, really good receivers that we can get the ball out to. We have 3 really good tight ends that we can get the ball out to. We have 2 running backs that we can throw the ball to. there are a lot of pass catchers. As of right there, 9. And if you put the ball in one of these wide receivers' hands, 10, because according to Zach, he has the best hands on the team. There are 9 different people that can catch the ball effectively for the New York Jets, and that's not counting Jeff Smith because I don't count him as an effective pass catcher. If we can spread the ball around effectively and really try to bully the fact that that it's looking like they're going to be without Xavier Howard, who also hasn't been having a great year this year, their secondary, outside of maybe Javon Holland, isn't having a great year. We can try and take advantage of these corners, try and take advantage of relatively poor safety play, try to take advantage of relatively bad linebacker play. Now, Jerome Baker's having a relatively good year at linebacker for Miami, but his partner in crime, Landon Roberts, isn't. Brandon Jones isn't having a good year at safety. Like, they're struggling in the secondary, and if we can use the run game to facilitate the pass game, and once we're passing, really distribute the ball evenly amongst the pass catchers so that they can't really bear down on one pass catcher. We saw that have a lot of success in the Cincinnati versus Miami game. They really spread the ball around. They said, you know what, we're going to hit T. Higgins here. We're going to hit Jamar Chase here. We're going to hit Tyler Boyd here. We're going to hit Hayden Hurst here. We're going to get Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine involved. They really got all of their players involved in the run game and the pass game and the different things, and it really got this defense kind of jumbled up. They couldn't really stop the passing game or the run game. Now, this defensive line is pretty good in Miami, so I do expect them to wreak havoc, but by distributing the ball evenly to a ton of targets, it'll make us really hard to pin down. Next thing that we got to do is win, not just on the scorecard, right? Obviously, we want to get more W's on the score sheet and on the stat sheets and everything like that, but I think we need to start winning on the stat sheet. We need to start winning in measurable statistics, and there's one specifically that I'm thinking of, and a lot of people who watch my videos know the thing I'm thinking about is time of possession. We've got to eliminate these 3 and outs. We've got to eliminate the turnover stuff that's going on. Like, if we can win the time of possession battle, we know that Miami's offense is absolutely lethal. We know this. So let's keep them off the field by staying on the field. If we can win the time of possession battle and start winning not only on the scorecard, but also on the stat sheet, that'll be a big help because that'll help Zach get more comfortable. And hopefully, if we can keep him in the field and keep him doing well, that means we're seeing more of fourth quarter Zach and not second and third quarter Zach Wilson, which is my next point. Zach needs to have a fourth quarter game. He did really, really well showing us that he's elusive, that his knee's not a problem, that he can run, that he can throw, that he's got all that stuff. I was terrified when he scrambled and he dropped a shoulder into a linebacker in safety, but he did it and he bounced right back up. You love to see that our quarterback is healthy and playing his old game. He isn't playing scared, and that's awesome. But let's see more of fourth quarter Zach, not second and third quarter Zach. And then last but not least on the offense is no more mistakes. No more of these dumb penalties. I know eliminating penalties is a fallacy. It's something that's going to happen in football. But if we can eliminate the self-made penalties, you don't have to block people in the back. You don't have to fumble the football. If you protect the football better, if you cause less penalties, if you're causing less interceptions, if you're doing the right things on offense to hold the time of possession and the ball well, then there's no way Miami's going to be able to beat us if we have 35, 36, 37 minutes. We're just on the field more and keeping their offense off. Now let's transition to the defensive side of the football. Realistically, this offense is really shining in 2 places and 2 places only, and that's at wide receiver. So I'm not going to talk about that there, but I'm going to talk about how we can affect the wide receivers without necessarily affecting the wide receivers. And I think the first thing that's going to need to happen is Quinnen Williams. It's crazy that I'm going to ask this of him, but we're going to have Quinnen Williams have his best game yet. This interior of the defensive line is going to be the best interior defensive line that Miami has faced in their entire season this year. They have not faced a player as good as Quinnen Williams, and they have not faced faced a player as good as Quinnen Williams with a partner that's playing as well as Sheldon Rankins. And I cannot believe I just said those words. But Sheldon Rankins is having an exceptionally good year up the middle, and those two partners should be able to wreak havoc. And the interior of the offensive line, while isn't horrible, they're not great. Williams and Hunt are really good center and right guard combo, but Eichenberg is having a really, really rough year at the left guard position. Their right tackle Little is having a rough year. So if this edge room and if this defensive line can really wreak havoc, it's going to be a big deal. We know that Miami is a throw-first team. Their running backs, while good and effective, are almost an afterthought for that team. And so you almost think that on second and third downs, you can tell these defensive linemen to really just pin their ears back and get into the backfield. And we can finally see this defense play the way that they're supposed to, really just blowing up these defensive lines, forgetting about the run responsibility and just getting into the backfield. And by taking advantage of the weak spots on this offensive line, specifically at left guard and right tackle, we should be able to get this defensive line home and bullying Teddy Bridgewater. Yes, he's had 10 days to prepare with this offense, but he is technically still a backup for a reason. And while Teddy's a good backup, he's not anything special. We should be able to bully him and take advantage of that if our defensive line, and specifically Quinnen Williams, can feast. Next is going to be the linebackers and the safety. We saw a massive improvement from linebacker and safety play from weeks 1, 2, and 3 to week 4. It was a big, big jump. It was a big, big change, and that's awesome. You love to see that. Now, what we need to do is see a repeat of that performance. Now, while it's crazy to say that, you know what, I need the safeties to get another 3 interceptions, it's kind of not really, right? We've got a really, really good defensive team if the linebackers and the safety can have a repeat performance. I think that's a top 10 defensive unit if the safeties and the linebackers can perform adequately. And with our team and what they were able to do, CJ Mosley looked a little bit better. Quan Alexander was playing great. Marcel Harris even looked pretty good. LaMarcus Joyner had the game of his career. Jordan Whitehead looked a lot better. If our linebackers and safeties can just have an average performance, not be abysmal like they were in weeks 1, 2, and 3, and we can close up the middle of the field, it's really going to make Teddy Bridgewater's job a lot harder, because the middle of the field, when it was wide open, we saw the big plays that it led to in weeks 1, 2, and 3. You shore up the middle of the field, look what happens in week 4. You can't attack the middle of the field if your linebackers and your safeties are doing well, and they weren't able to do that in Pittsburgh. They weren't able to effectively attack the middle of the field, which leads me to my next thing, which is our corners on the outside. If the linebackers and the safeties are preventing teams from attacking the middle of the field, and our corners are playing elite and preventing teams from attacking the outside of the field, where are they going to go? And that's kind of the point. And the thing with the corners is, I can't believe that I'm about to ask this of them, but the corners need to play even better. We already have an elite cornerback room right now. DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner are top 20. Both of them are top 20 ranked cornerbacks in the NFL, according to PFF right now. And the problem is not necessarily with our cornerback room. The problem is with the wide receiver room in Miami. According to PFF, they have 2 top 7 ranked wide receivers. Tyreek Hill is ranked 3rd according to PFF, and Jalen Waddle is 7th. And arguably, Tyreek Hill right now is playing as the best wide receiver in football. So we've got to come up with a defensive game plan to really eliminate just those 2 guys. Because when it comes to wide receiving, no one else in that wide receiver room is really getting a sniff or touching the ball at all. I know that they have that Trent Sherfield is getting some touches, but I'm not scared of him. Michael Carter can cover him. Gesicki's not getting a lot of love this year at all. And they're not really effectively using their run game or getting them involved at all in Chase Edmonds or Raheem Mostert. So the whole thing comes back to, we really have to take advantage of the fact that their only threats are on the wide receiver. Now, that's really hard because they're really good. But defensively, it comes down to Jeff Ulbrich and his coaching staff to come up with a plan to try to, I don't want to say eliminate those two receivers because I think that's impossible, but to limit those two guys. It's going to be a hard challenge, especially with Tyreek Hill's speed. But if it was up to me, I'm telling DJ Reed to stick on Jalen Waddle like glue constantly, and that's just because he's a little bit smaller, faster, and quicker than Sauce is right now, and I trust DJ Reed by himself to cover Waddle. And then I'm looking at Sauce and I'm saying, you're going to get the number one wide receiver in Tyreek Hill, and then I'm putting LaMarcus Joyner over the top of him every single play, because we know the ball is going to one of those two guys. You let the rest of the linebackers and the safeties kind of cover everybody else, and then you should have a relatively good game plan. Miami is in no way the juggernaut that I think the NFL thinks that they are, but they're also in no way an easy win. Mike McDaniel has them coached up well and playing well, but with all of the news and turmoil and stuff that's going on in Miami, I think they're being overhyped just a little bit, and I think that this could be the beginning of the come down to earth for Miami. So what do I think this game is going to end in? I think this game is ultimately going to be a shootout with our offensive weapons and how good we are on offense, their offensive weapons and how good they are on offense. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to come down to whose defense can allow the fewest amount of points. And when I look at the rosters and I look at the statistics, I have more faith in the New York Jets defense. So I'm giving the New York Jets the win. I'm going to say the Jets are going to win 30-27 with a last-minute field goal by Greg the Leg Zuerlein, putting it through the uprights and getting us a win at home at MetLife for the first time this year. Guys, let me know what you guys think is going to happen this game. What are your score predictions? Do you agree with some of my takes? Do you disagree with some of my takes? Let me know in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.